Good morning, Aries. I hope you're doing well. It's so good to see everybody again. It's only been a couple weeks since I've been live, but both Apollo and I missed you. Want to send you a lot of love and good wishes here today. As you know, we'll be reading for September, and you can always use this for sun, rising, and moon. And there's a ton of messages that I've been busy writing, which is why it took me a little bit longer to get started today. So I can't wait to share all of this with you and give you what you need to kind of navigate all the energies and opportunities ahead. For anybody that's brand new, I just want to welcome you here and let me give you a proper introduction. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. This little creature here is Apollo. I'm going to put him down so that we can focus here on what's coming through. What I like to do every month is to help empower you. I believe that free will is a big part of what we are on this planet for, and that's kind of why this is such an appealing planet to reincarnate on, because so many choices are in front of us. Every single moment of every single day, we can kind of shift that needle in a different direction. So today, we'll be focusing on the energies for about the next 6 weeks or so, because I do this a little bit in advance of the month, and that's going to give you what you need to, again, make those good choices. The way that I organize this is basically in four major parts, really. I start with the channeled message. So usually in the day or two before the reading, I'll start receiving messages for the sign. And then also right before I get started, I select a deck, I meditate, and I get additional messages. So that's the summary of what's on the table here. So we'll do a psychic download. All those messages will come through first. Then I have already selected a deck of cards here, and we'll be using that for the Celtic Cross, and additional messages will come through. And this is a little bit more kind of like in the weeds, seeing what some of the really specific things are that your sign is going to have to navigate through. And then I expand the forecast to look at areas such as health, wealth, love, and destiny. That way, I don't have to do an entire reading just about love. I want to make sure that we can access more information than just that. So that's why my readings are a little longer. That's why I try to kind of incorporate everything for every age, and I think you'll enjoy it, hopefully. After we get through the channeled message and that Celtic Cross and expanded forecast, then we move along to a quick review and what I call the soul path. The soul path is just as it sounds. It's a chance to navigate not just for the month of September or what's left of this month, but also for the rest of this year and maybe even longer. It helps you kind of set the goals for the next year, even if you want to. So that deeper soul work will involve 3 cards that I pull, looking at the past, present, and future. And a lot of times what I'll do is find something that's thematic as we go through all of these messages, and I'll focus it on that. I like to kind of leave it up in the air and organic and see where the reading takes us, okay? And that is the main part of it. And then we'll do a nice meditation and integration where I use a sound bowl to help us heal and release all the stuff that we just went through. Okay. So yeah, a lot to go through, a lot of exciting things. Before we get started, just a couple of quick notes. I always like to welcome the new folks, the returning folks, and also give a little bit of gratitude to my 2 moderators, Ryan and Maria. They're a great resource if you missed something or you want to know what we're talking about or where to find something. They also just keep a really nice, safe space. So treat them with love and respect. They're here to help out. And I also like to just kind of talk a little bit about how I deal with Super Chat. Everything you see here is fan supported, all the cards that I buy, everything like that. So if you want to say thank you and support me, a great way that you can do that if you're watching it while it's live is to use this little icon here next to the emojis. It's Super Chat, and it allows you to send a little message or sticker and just say thanks. And it's like a virtual tip jar, and it really does make a difference. There are a lot of other ways you can do that if you are watching this on replay, or you just don't want to do it while you just want to enjoy the reading. That's fine. Patreon and some other sourcing opportunities are available, and we'll talk about that later. There's too much other stuff that we need to discuss right now, so I want to get into the all the channeled messages right now. So let's get started. Okay, so I had a beautiful vision. It was a dream, and then I woke up, but I was still sort of seeing it and connecting with it. And what I saw was 2 different people. One, the human form, one, the astral form or the higher form. And there was such beauty in both, but the higher form was trying to basically show or reveal itself to you. So this is your higher self coming through and talking to me. And the message that it was giving was, there's so much beauty, there's so much light. Can you see who you are? Because I think we enter into this life just fine as a little baby. As we start to grow up, all the layers of societal energy and ancestral energy and all of that stuff, it just kind of gets piled on us so that we lose the clarity that we have when we're that fresh soul coming into a new body. So your higher self came through to me this month to say, you need to try to see your worth, to step into the highest version of yourself. And also, there's something powerful here. If you can do that for others, it's going to be a really, really powerful tool where you can break karmic cycles. And it's not going to take another lifetime to play out these roles again. Everything that's going on right now is sort of like a play. And we've agreed upon certain roles that we can't change 100%. But there's a lot that we can change. And that's what, again, is so appealing and powerful about a lifetime on this planet. One thing that I think we're just starting to realize now is that we don't have to die and be reborn to change who we are, to change our future, to release our karma. You can release karma now. So let me review a little bit of what I'm saying and help you kind of understand this. Basically, the highest version of yourself came through and said, look at me, I'm here, I'm you, this beautiful, brilliant light. When I was looking at it, it was standing taller, it was speaking in a more sort of beautiful tone. It was you though, but somehow maybe you've lost connection with that. I want you to see that, embrace that, and then try to see it in others. The encouragement and the faith that you have in others, especially in children, is a powerful tool that will allow them and you to break karmic cycles, to forge a new path. And yes, there's always free will, but why not give others a chance to be their best, to step into that light? And for you, the same thing. Maybe your parents couldn't do it. Maybe your boss won't do it. Maybe your best friend is not seeing your potential. So this is a chance for you to say, but I see it and I'm going to embrace it. And maybe you're limiting yourself. There's other places, like your friend or whoever it is in your life that's kind of unable to see it. A lot of times that doubt, that fear is a projection of their own inability to sort of go beyond the obvious. And that's what faith is, right? It's an inner knowing, a trust that there is something brighter, better, and something is possible even without the evidence in front of you. Faith is a big part of manifestation. You have the vision, you have the trust, you have the faith, then you follow through and you're perseverant. So we'll talk about this in a second, but don't let someone take you off that path, okay? So hopefully that will, that's the first message that comes through, and I hope it makes sense for you. The next thing that I want to talk about is about how you can, speaking of breakthroughs, have like a better conversation with someone. The next message that I was receiving was around having like difficult conversations or breaking through a barrier. And it was basically about speaking openly without being demanding or without having an ultimatum. So healthy relationships really involve the ability to hopefully kind of put your heart out there, to express hopes, fears, anxieties, but also to just kind of be there and support each other. If something's not going right, maybe this is in a workplace, maybe this is in a relationship, you could set the stage and basically say something like this, I really feel like we've made so much progress and I have an idea on a way that we can take this to the next level. Or if it's a relationship, we can get even deeper in this relationship if we can work through this one thing. I have some ideas. Can I talk to you about it? That's a lot better than saying, we need to deal with this or we need to talk, and kind of like pushing it out with even that tone. So feel like you're in it together. Speak openly, express gratitude, and express an interest in working through something. But if you need to talk. And I think it's basically about keeping a neutral tone and an optimistic sort of point of view as you bring this up, okay? For some reason, I actually got a number. I usually don't. They showed me the number 13. Mid-month is going to be a good time for negotiation. For those of you that might be trying to sign a contract, sell a house, or talk about like money, that's a really auspicious time. So wait until the mid-month point. We'll take a look at the cards in a second and see sort of what's coming through in the near future, because I'll be curious to see. But basically, a neutral tone, a little bit of optimism mixed in there, but basically bringing people into your point of view and allowing them to sort of participate too. And I think it's important to listen and to actively listen. Another thing that I was shown was basically that the calendar might need to shift around a little bit. So for some of you, that means you might need to be open to doing something sooner. For some of you, you might need to push it back, but the flexibility could open up a new opportunity for you. So if you're not narrowly focused on a date, a deliverable time, if you kind of pay attention to the ebb and flow of what's coming through, then you may have new opportunities that open up. You might also be able to do an even better job. The flexibility is key to success, okay? By the way, I see a lot of questions coming in. I meant to answer this earlier. I don't do Q&A here. I basically will do a general reading and we're all participating. So you're welcome to chat, but basically let's keep it on topic. Next thing is to talk about how to manage all of this stuff that's going on. We were talking a little bit about schedules. So one thing that I see here is that came through this morning was I sometimes talk about life not being a sprint. It's kind of like a long distance run, right? We're trying to keep up with everything. And if you do too much too fast, you get sick, you get tired, it doesn't work. But I used to run track way back in high school. And I remember sometimes if you ran too fast or too much, you'd almost want to throw up. So you can't do that. So I was basically seeing a light bulb and I saw the light bulb burnout. And so I said, please pace yourself here to avoid overloading or burning yourself out. It was a pretty clear symbol to me. And I think that that's going to be the most important thing here. And for you, this could come in maybe 3 or 4 different ways. Self-care. Self-care can take so many different forms. It could be, getting a massage or just making some time to yourself to read or to do something that brings you joy. Definitely meditation probably should be number 1 because that's going to be something that we can all use as a tool. Sleep as well. And then also super powerful and hard for me to do as well is saying no, pushing back on unnecessary additions to your schedule or obligations that somehow pull you out of things. So as you start to do this, not only will you have more energy and a better management of that energy, but you're going to start to kind of demand and attract better respect and attention from others because they see that you're grounded, you're assertive, you're able to finish things that you start, which is something that I actually have here at the end. So if you feel like you're going to commit to something that isn't possible or isn't the right fit, better to say no at the beginning than to get yourself into something that is not resonating or may not be achievable. So the next thing that we have here is to really focus on standing out. And I think so much of what's going on in the world right now is about focusing on trying to be part of the collective, part of the whole. And, in a crowded marketplace, it's your uniqueness or your individuality that is actually your asset. It's actually what's making you stand out. And for those of you that might be trying to interview for a job or might be trying to find a way to make, if you have your own business or just anything right now, if you're trying to make an impact and somehow separate yourself from everyone else, then don't sort of homogenize or generalize or mute what makes you amazing. It's kind of like watering down your essence, right? So, by the way, yes, I am live. I'm just focusing on the channeled messages. So thank you for being patient. So what I want you to do right now is to focus on looking at your unique talent and think, how can I maybe access this or somehow bring this into a different light right now? Because what I'm seeing is that we have an ability to step away from things that were maybe where we were just kind of phoning it in, right? I spent a large part of my career doing what was expected of me, going through the motions, doing corporate work, and it served a purpose. It definitely helped keep me organized and teach me a lot of skills. But I knew, especially over the last 5 years of it, I've been doing this for 5 years, but the 5 years before that, I kind of knew it was time to step out, but I was waiting. I was almost kind of like waiting for a wake-up call. 2020 is ostensibly one of the biggest wake-up calls planet-wide for everybody. So this is your chance to go back to something that for you made you feel this sense of, like, I always wanted to do this, but maybe now your job has gone away, you're furloughed, or there's not as much sort of security as you used to have. So you have permission to try something new. Try it, be yourself, be bold, stand out. This is the time to really do that. Otherwise, there's a lot of competition for the same jobs or the same things. So you'll just kind of blend in. So this is your higher self and your guides coming through saying, it's okay, this is your time to step up and be seen. This next thing was very, very interesting. A lot of what's happened for me as I've started to tune into messages is it's almost like I'm watching a movie and I'm watching things pan out, or play out rather. And what I saw with this was two individuals talking to each other, and I was able to kind of get into the heads of both of them. So one could be you, could be the other partner. I was watching one person trying to communicate, but the eye contact wasn't happening with the other partner. And it was really upsetting the person that wasn't receiving the eye contact. Then I kind of jumped into the head of the person that was unable or unwilling to give the eye contact. And it actually had to do with shyness or a lack of, like, it wasn't just about being uncomfortable about the conversation, but there was something about the person or the way they were speaking. And I think that one thing that's going to be important is when you communicate, check in with the person that you're communicating with, particularly in business, or if there's a difficult conversation that you're having in a love relationship. Make sure that you're on the same page. Make sure that that person is feeling safe and is feeling listened to. And I think if someone's looking away, it's a good time to pause and say, how are you feeling? What's on your mind? I'm getting a sense that there's something that you want to say, or that maybe is there a better time that we can talk? Because you have no idea what's going on with them. And I was receiving, like, there was some complexities and the timing might have been off for that sort of communication that was going on. So pay attention to it. If you diffuse the situation, talk to them, ease it, and they still have a hard time looking you in the eye, then that's a chance for you to go a little deeper and think, is there something that they're afraid to deal with or talk about with me? Can I really trust this person? Because once the discomfort has kind of been eased, it might be something different, a little bit different or a little bit deeper. So pay attention to, I would say, nonverbal body cues this month. It could be eye contact. It could also be someone kind of, slouching or not, whatever it is, kind of pulling in the energy a little bit. Try to discern if it's shyness, discomfort, or if it's something a little bit deeper. This card would be like the moon coming through, right? And you have to kind of go into the energy of the moon to figure out what it is that's happening. And if we could kind of marry this with what I'm going to say next, so speak openly without demands. I think it's also important here to be direct. If something isn't working, if someone is hiding, if someone is avoiding a conversation with you, rather, what you want to focus on is why they are afraid of conversing. Is it because they have to heal themselves? Is it because there needs to be some healing between the two of you? So be direct, be open, give them space, give them time. And then eventually, if it won't work, it might be a signal that they're not interested in communicating or doing business with you or walking that walk with you. So it's a message. Nonverbal cues are a message. Pay attention to them. There's some powerful things that will come out of it. Ultimately, healing and understanding, hopefully. But for some of you, it might be a way to avoid something that isn't worth your time or energy. Okay? Next and final kind of bit of the channeled message was to not let people take you off your goal or your plan. So the guides were kind of playing with images with me and symbols. One was sort of just like a GPS and having that GPS be scrambled. The other one was literally kind of like backing up your car. And I just saw that the direction that you were going in wasn't good, or you might back up into something. So what I inferred from these messages were the following three things. First, stay on your path. Don't let others distract you. It's noise, it's white noise in your head. You can't afford to reverse. I think this has more to do with the time it's going to cost you than anything else. I saw that there was a cost to reversing. So it could take double the amount of time to get back on track. You might not be able to take the same path. You may regret that you paused it, whatever. I think that the most important thing that you can do over the course of September, and for those of you watching live, even the weeks leading to that, is to complete your goals, finish what you started, and try, if you need to juggle something in, that's fine, but not at the expense of something that maybe you've been working on for a long time. So it could be school, it could be a goal, it could be even like a relationship thing that you're trying to work towards. Whatever it is that you've tried to start, I want you to finish it, okay? So There we go. Those are the powerful messages that have been coming through over the past couple of days for your sign. A lot of great stuff. I really like this highest version of yourself coming through, your higher self. So if I were to pull out some themes that I want to look at in the cards here in a moment, it's how can you stay on that high frequency, that high path? How can you improve both verbal and nonverbal communication, speaking clearly, not having any sort of demands or anything where you're kind of giving people an ultimatum, and the pacing as well, kind of how to keep pace with all of this. The individuality and everything, I think that's going to be something that you can figure out, but we'll see what the cards have to show here. So let me get everything organized here. And again, this is live. I saw some questions here. I don't answer questions because it takes me out of the flow. Even just sometimes seeing the same question being repeated takes me out of the flow. So I'm only kind of intermittently looking over there because there's a lot to go through and it takes a lot of focus to do what I'm doing. So thank you for being patient. At this point, speaking of focus, I'm going to remain quiet and just let the cards lay where they will, because I receive additional messages and I want to pay attention to them. So I'll be right back. I'm going to turn the camera down. And again, I just want to welcome everyone. It's so good to see you this morning, and we have a decent amount here. So thanks for showing up. All right, everybody, thank you so much. Just put on my glasses for this because the text on these is a little smaller. All right, it's interesting. There was a little hidden card that came out here underneath. It's interesting that it was the snake too, so we'll talk about that. All right, so we'll talk about this. This is your catalyst message. The catalyst functions as a way for you to stay in that higher frequency that I was talking about. And a lot of times it can help you avoid anything that could bring you out of that higher frequency. So this is very powerful. It also connects thematically everything that we're going to look at here. So the message first was about the energy exchange. It says exchange energy to create abundance, and we have the trader card here. So for some of you, the opportunities that present themselves may not be strictly sort of financial. There may be some sort of an exchange of professional services, maybe even a referral that's coming through for some of you, or you may decide to go into your own business. I like what I'm seeing here. The other thing that I kind of get with this is the Two of Pentacles energy, which to me usually indicates a work-life balance or an exchange, giving one thing for another. So take a really close look at how you can better balance your life. If you're not working and looking for work, because I know that's something that a lot of us are going through in 2020, it's focusing on how to maybe, feed yourself, find ways to feel productive and feel like you're putting yourself out there. Balance overall is really, really key. The other thing with this is it's talking about energy exchange. What is the cost? For those of you that are maybe working, or if you're in a relationship and it's taking a lot of your energy, what is the cost, and is it worth it? What are you getting back in return? Is there reciprocity in that relationship? So I think that those things will help you sort of discern whether you should continue doing it, okay? So there's always a trade-off, and I'm looking at that as if I kind of go to the root word here, it's really about what is the trade-off for you. So interesting that the snake card was hidden. As I was feeling the card, I thought this is a little bit heavier than I thought it would be. So we have shed an old skin here. So the elevated version of that is really good. It's basically saying for many of you, it's time to move on. And we have the world card crossing the center. So that makes a lot of sense. So for many of you, you're just entering into a new period of your life. So that's great. And it might have hit you unexpectedly. So if we look at this, maybe this is your trade, your job, and there's some sort of a new opportunity that came through, or it got taken away unexpectedly, but there's something better waiting for you either way, because shedding that skin is going to let you step into your power. The snake card was reversed, but I still feel like this is a very strong card, because to me, snakes indicate that ability to change, to move, to be flexible. Hello. It's probably one of the most flexible animals. And also, with that venom comes sort of like power and potency. So the only thing you want to be careful of with the snake this month is when it comes to communication. And because it's connected to what I would kind of assign as a work card, I think your work communications this month, you really, really want to be mindful of keeping everything in an elevated state, of really trying to just use the right words at the right time to the right people. And easier said than done, right? Sometimes things just kind of fall out of your mouth, but trying to take a pause and figure out the best way to communicate, I think that's going to be essential. Let's go to the center card here. We have the Eight of Wands, beautifully illustrated here. It's reversed, but it's an auspicious card. For me, Eight of Wands, Four of Wands, Two of Cups, there's a lot of these that are really positive no matter what. The reversal of this is telling me, however, that for some of you, you're feeling an extreme. Either you're so busy that it's hard to keep up with what's going on. For many of you that are first responders or in a business that has either been enhanced or unaffected by all the stuff that's going on in the world with COVID-19, then you might be just feeling like, gosh, nothing's changing. I'm just working and working and working, and it's hard to keep up. For some of you, you might have been in that pace, and because of the pandemic, it's the reverse. So because that card's reversed, you could be dealing with a furlough or a low or some sort of feeling of absence because it's not happening. So back to what we've talked about, try to pace yourself, try to take advantage of either extreme. If there's a lot of abundance coming through, it's a blessing because not everyone has it. If there's not, your guides, your higher self, your body is going to kind of encourage you right now to take a break and try to rebound as soon as you can. Eight of Wands is also a message just to stay busy in your mind. For those of you that are in that in-between phase, it's about other activities. It's not all about work. It's not all about love. So on a soul level and on a personal level, like, how's your health? Are you happy? Are you getting a sense of fulfillment? To me, the Eight of Wands can be a hamster wheel, right? And I was talking about my corporate experience. I don't know where those 15 years went sometimes. I got a great wealth of experience, but sometimes I blink and I thought that went really, really fast. So if you're on some sort of a hamster wheel where you just feel like you're going and if you've ever seen one, the hamster just keeps moving, but it's not going anywhere, then time to get off of that and actually take a sort of moment to walk around and figure out, where am I? How far have I come? Why am I doing this? And so for many of us, it's just that existential question, am I on track? Am I on the right path? If not, this card is being tempered by the world, which is saying, okay, no problem. Step into the new you. This is the time. This is the place. And there's no snooze button right now. It feels like you've got to take action right now. The world is smack dab in the center, okay? Exciting energy with that, but nothing there bodes in any direction. It's just kind of like tune in. If you're happy, great. Be grateful. If you're not, this is the time and a lot is opening up for you. And remember the flexibility of schedules. So much flexibility that we got a snake as your totem this month. So you know what to do. It's just kind of try something new. Don't worry so much. All right, let's take a look now at your deep past. For many of you, I feel like you've been waiting for that moment. We have the Ten of Wands, which, hello, we can actually see the person moving here. The interesting thing about this illustration is they're walking away from something, not towards. Normally on the Ten of Wands, you'll see a figure moving up the mountain or down a path with a mountain in the distance. For this one, it's showing me that for many of you, you've already gone through the most difficult part of the journey. Sometimes it's just the internal decision that I'm ready now. right? Once you start working and moving, momentum almost carries you with it. And sometimes it's anticlimactic when you get to the end of it. I think it's always the most powerful and most important moment when you make the decision. And sometimes for me, that's the hardest part too, because I'm kind of analytical and I have to look at all the angles. And once I land on that decision though, everything opens up and I feel a sense of relief. So for you, I think one really powerful thing that you could do this month is try to be decisive, try to step into that feeling of, I understand, I know, and I'm ready. And that vision and that decisiveness is going to open things up. And it'll kind of be like the portal that we see in this world card here. So this kind of reminds me of like a wrinkle in time or something. She's stepping through something new. So anyway, let's look at the other thing with the 10 of Wands. It might be time to unload or offload something that is no longer serving you. This particular person is actually not shouldering all of the wands on her back. She's using assistance here in the form of a beast of burden. But what you could do is delegate a little bit. And 8 of Wands or 7 of Wands, there's often a suggestion coming through with those two cards that just because you can do everything doesn't mean you should. And she's reminding us here in the 10 of Wands that partnership and even letting go of something might be smarter. So if it's time to sell a business or a house or to divest an asset or walk away from a relationship, it could open up new things for you, okay? When it served its purpose like that, especially if it's an object or an experience, this is like the graduation card, the combination of the 10 of Wands in the world. All right, so we have a great resource and learning card here, the 8 of Pentacles. I want to turn it in the upright position so you can get a good feel for the illustration here. This is always a card of expansion. And one thing to look at here is the element of time over top of this. So you can't rush sometimes learning and integration work. Time is often an element where, I'm sure you've learned this just as you get older. It gets easier sometimes because you can look back and think, I was able to survive that. I've seen this before. I know who I am. That person's not going to bother me. There's an element of timing that is intrinsic to this card. So when I said be flexible, some of that flexibility may even be with your own impatience of wanting to rush through something. Take your time. Again, I think it's important to finish something, but don't rush it. So you kind of tune into yourself and sense what the right timing will be. I mentioned the impatience because we have temperance in reverse, and that's kind of like the opposite of being cool, calm, and collected. It's this feeling of, I've got to do something now. Now, if you feel a calling for a change, or if you're stepping into that new template like we talked about earlier, that's different. If it's more sort of like, why won't this happen? I feel like you could kind of take a look at who's saying no, what the sort of pushback is, and see if that was actually possibly helping you from getting involved with things that wouldn't have helped you in the way that you hoped they would. Every time that I've had a no in my life, it's in retrospect been a better decision or a better sort of movement for me to not have gone with that person or that job or that situation. And I'm always grateful for the pause that it gave me. So I think you'll be kind of looking with discernment at where the universe is pushing back, where you're feeling triggered, where you're feeling inspired, because there's a difference between impatience and inspiration. And if you are feeling that inspiration to go down another path, I think you've got encouragement and a push from the universe to do so. If you're trying to rush through something, make sure that you're paying attention to details. 8 of Pentacles is kind of like an apprenticeship card. So looking at the fine line details is super duper important right now. This can be about going back to school. This can be about just reading, learning, developing. And the main thing here is to stay on that path. Don't rush it. Don't give up. I know a lot of you right now are at a point where you're thinking, like, particularly for those of you that are students, whether you're young or non-traditional, kind of going back to school, you could just think, I didn't want to do this, this remote learning. I've talked about this before. We don't know how long all of this is going to last, and you don't want to lose a window of opportunity. If you really are intent on doing it, this could be sort of a great test for you. If you can make it through this and learn, you're going to be unstoppable. So I think we need to kind of embrace this. Do you really want to lose a year of opportunity of learning? Only you can make the call on that. But I think here with the 8 of Pentacles, there's a desire to learn. And I would say don't get distracted, don't give up, and don't rush it. you'll find the right pacing for that. All right, for temperance in reverse, you'll notice that this is almost like a meditation pose, almost. When I'm looking at this, I think for some of you, maybe there's not enough time to just be still. And I was thinking the other day about like the blessings. There are blessings in 2020. For those of you that might be in that period of hitting the pause button, it's a chance to really get to know yourself and also to see how you feel with the absence of people and noise around you. Some of us are flourishing. Some of us are kind of like panicking. And I think no matter which end of the spectrum, you're still growing, right? If you're flourishing, you realize, wow, I'm kind of like the Nine of Pentacles. I'm self-sufficient. I can do this. If you're panicking, you can start to think about how to develop and grow in those areas and try to kind of ease into ambiguity, and you'll be okay. This is a chance to either gain confidence or build confidence. That's really the same thing. Like to feel better about yourself or to work on how to kind of develop that self-confidence, I should say. One of the things to avoid, and this is the near future, and I wanted to pay attention to this for communication, it's the Nine of Swords. So this is the interesting thing. I said mid-month you would have a chance to resolve something, possibly even like with finances or money. So look at all the crows above her. This to me reads a lot like fear, anxiety, and gossip. So also like those, and it's funny, a lot of times when I feel heavy thought energy, it kind of manifests as an itch in my scalp, even though there's nothing wrong. And I got that right then and there. So I feel like some of you are in your headspace too much, and your thoughts are agitating yourself and could get in the way of a fluid communication with somebody else. I almost said commercial because it really does have to do with money and finances and commerce. So don't let your fears over the finances get in the way of an important conversation, whether or not it's between you and a partner, you and a friend, or you and a boss. Feels like there's something important that needs to be resolved. Get the fear out, get the sort of repetitive nature of the thoughts out. And once you're clear on what you're trying to express, you'll be okay. All right. The other thing with Nine of Swords, for me, it has to do with sleep and sometimes not having a way to express yourself, because all of those things do sort of kind of like ricochet in your head, right? If you notice here, we kind of have like a little spirit bird, almost like a dove or something else. There's a higher voice that wants to come through the noise. So if you can just kind of block out the noise, meditate a little bit, and allow the voice of reason to come through, that's what's important, okay? You already know what to do. Fear is holding you back potentially, so you don't need to let that happen, okay? Let's focus on what's going on in your ego. I love this card, actually. It's about the self-care that we were talking about. So protect yourself, take some time off, take some time to just rest and recuperate. Four of Swords literally is about just slowing the pace down a little bit and sleeping for some of you. And we have two cards here that are kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum. This is about stressing out so much that you can't sleep. And this is about just letting it go, surrendering. One of the tools in spirituality that's really effective sometimes is to connect with something higher, whatever your connection to the divine and to spirit is. And once you feel that envelope of safe energy around you, of elevated energy, you can then surrender and say, you can give your lower frequencies as an offering to God in the universe, to the planet, to the spirits around you, whatever your connection to spirit is. And then just let it go and then receive an upgrade, receive a healing. Work with something like the violet flame if you need to, and just let that come through and kind of burn away all of that other stuff. But rest is super important to you. So if you're too busy, make some time, make sure you're getting ample rest. If you're not busy, enjoy this. It doesn't happen all the time. I'm at a point right now where, sometimes I'm working 7 days a week because of the different projects that I'm working on. There are other times where maybe I have, just a couple days that I'm working. So wherever I'm at, I'm grateful for the different extremes because they don't happen all the time. Notice the heart in this one. Usually that's not a part of the Four of Swords. You'll see that in the Three of Swords, or maybe in something like the Three of Cups or Ace of Cups. So what I see for some of you is that there's some healing to happen with your heart space this month. And as you start to rest, as you start to kind of just give yourself space from others, you'll be able to put yourself out there again. So even if you're in an existing relationship and maybe things have broken down a little bit, I think a little bit of space and distance is healthy. So have that you time, meditate a little bit, and then have a sort of more even kiltered conversation with someone, and I think it's going to be okay. But this is showing a little bit of a pause. It's going to probably happen for some of you around that midpoint. It could cause stress for some of you. It could make some of you happy. Just kind of try to ease into that again. With the snake being your symbol this month, flexibility is key. The snake was reversed, which I actually like because the arrow is up here. So this, if we're thinking about it, it's always about going higher, connecting with spirit, and moving towards your goal. Environmentally, here's the impatience again. We have the hangman in reverse. Two different meanings for this. I actually love seeing the hangman reverse because almost looks like an acrobat, right? It's showing now that you are able to, for some of you, it's a breakthrough month. For those of you that are just starting to step into the opportunity, it's also a warning, don't move too quickly. Allow, like sometimes after a break, whether like for those of you that might have been athletes in school, if you go straight back into training and you haven't trained in a while, you're going to really be sore the next day. So you want to take it easy. The same thing is true in anything. Lack of practice or participation makes us a little bit less comfortable doing what we used to do. So don't expect yourself to step right back into it, especially if you're working. So if you've been, home and then all of a sudden you're back in the office, you may find like you're hitting a wall at 2 PM thinking, how am I going to get through this day? The coffee's not doing it, et cetera, et cetera. Give yourself time, it'll get better. And if you've just started going back to school, things like that, the same thing is true. It's never easy at the beginning. There's always this feel of how am I going to do this? But just like the snake, she's reaching up for the light because she's upside down. And it reminded me of an acrobat that kind of would be on a swing. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. So try not to feel like you're going between the mood swings. Try to focus on that in between and maybe the momentum. You get to control sometimes that pendulum a little bit. All right, the wheel of fortune in opportunity. Very, very positive. We have like the tree pose, I believe, here in yoga right on top of that. So for many of you, stay grounded. And it almost looks like a pentacle rather than just the wheel. And that's why I'm getting kind of earth-like energy in this. This is a good year for many of us when it comes to change and growth. It's not great when it comes to the pain and the suffering on the planet, but I feel like there is some growth and opportunity that is coming through amid all of this change. And if we look really closely on this one, she's wearing a couple of like dice or die. And so it's keep showing up and keep playing is basically what my guides are showing me with that. And whenever I reach a wall, I reach them just like you. And I feel like I can't do this. I'm frustrated. My guides will remind me, stay present, keep working, and it will come to you. And that's my message to you. So if you're a writer, for instance, sit at the keyboard and just start writing and keep writing, and eventually you'll get into your flow. If you're looking for a job, again, maybe get on your phone, get on your tablet, get on the computer, just keep searching around and see what you can find. The important thing for us is to be present and not to give up. When we give up, that's when the shadow energy wins, and then you're not going to progress. If you're building a house, if you're working on something bigger, the same thing is true. There are some days where it rains and you have to take a pause, but you have to pick up construction the next day. So pick your metaphor, but when you hit a wall, you can take a temporary break, take a nap, come back with a new attitude and a new approach, and you're going to get past that wall. The Wheel of Fortune is good, and it's in the opportunity space. Change. This is very much like the World card, which you got. So you've got both of these, and they both have wheels in them. And both of them can kind of go through 4 seasons. So what I'm seeing for some of you is a change of job, a change of relationship, a change of mind, changes overall, and possibly growth in unexpected ways, possibly even getting to a better place or a better job or a better school or whatever over the course of this difficult period. And that's going to be the challenge, because your outcome card and the near future card, you have all these really positive cards, but there are 2 that are blocking you. And these are the most important ones. So in the near future, we have a card about stressing and going to the worst case scenario. And in the outcome, we have another card, which is about picking and choosing battles that matter. And also, like, you see this person in the background almost jumping for your attention. And it's like, I can't do this anymore. Yeah, that's totally the 5 of Swords. Sometimes you just can't deal with unnecessary communication, negative thoughts, your own sort of critical thinking that could be bringing you away from this. I love that we see crows kind of bothering these people in the swords suit in this deck, because sometimes that's all the swords cards are our own sort of thoughts getting in the way. So that's why your higher self came through and said, you're not going to do this to yourself this month. You're going to step into the energy of opportunity with the 8 of Wands, of change with the World card, with the 10 of Wands, with the Wheel card, and move into that. Be patient, be okay, and just take care of yourself. I think if you do that this month, the positive energy will overrule some of this sort of lower frequency energy. And I always believe in the potential for light to shine through the shadows. Shadows exist because the light is casting a shadow. So you just have to look back at the light, not at the shadow. It's perspective, right? Okay. We're going to expand the forecast now and look at health, wealth, love, and destiny, and take this to a different sort of perspective. This is putting new lenses on what we just talked about. Each of these is multi-part. When I look at health, especially over 2020, it's less about physical health. It's more about emotional and spiritual health. So let's see what the card says. Take the lead. All right, for many of you, if we're looking at just really old school, just reading this on a sort of like label level here, this could be about talking to your doctor if you're not feeling well. This could be about also taking the initiative to do better in your life. So the face value message for this is, don't wait for somebody to tell you that you need to do something. Do it. Do it for your own health, happiness, and well-being. You're the boss. The other thing is that this has to do with your third chakra. And we see the number 3. I'm looking also at the energy of the third chakra. And so for many of you, you're dealing with relationship issues and power. And when the power dynamics are out of whack a little bit, what happens then is, and I actually felt a little bit of this yesterday. It could have been even for Aries, because I sometimes get empathic energy, but digestion issues can pop up. And so sometimes it can just feel like a constriction of your stomach, and almost like someone's pulling a string around it and it's just tight. So what you want to do in that situation is figure out, like, how can I get my sense of autonomy, power, leadership back? Even if it's here, it's got to be here first. Then it's going to be here, then you can speak it. And it's pull it through all of your chakra systems, basically, but you have to believe in yourself. Otherwise, nobody is going to believe in you. And you're going to have to be the one that leads the charge on this too. It'll make you happier. It'll make you healthier. A couple of other health messages, just specifically looking at the cards. Of course, making sure that your sleep habits are okay. This has been coming up so much this year. I feel almost like a broken record with the sleep stuff, but it makes sense. Sometimes we're working so hard, or we've listened to so much on the news, or we've dealt with something difficult in our life where it just feels like, I can't, how can I deal with this? So the way that I deal with it is sometimes I listen to like a singing bowl. We'll be using that later today. I will listen to calming music or white noise. You can like play the sound of the ocean, or I just sit there and pray and meditate. And I start to, the same way that I do a meditation for you, I do it for myself. I just imagine myself in a different location. I start to paint the scenery. I start to imagine the light and the positive energy flowing through. Pretty soon I feel better because I'm focusing on that, not on whatever the quacking was in my head from all the people that were talking in the daytime. So I think that's going to be really important. 4 of Swords is an interesting card because in addition to self-care, it can show, this can be a fear of mortality. It's not illustrated as such here, but the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith illustration would show sort of like a sepulcher or a tombstone or something like that. And so for some of us, it's about putting something to rest. It's not always literal, it can be figurative. So we're talking about a change in direction for many of you with 10 of Wands, the Wheel of Fortune, and the World. So when you step away from a path in your life, a relationship, a job, an old apartment, it's a death of sorts, right? So some of you are mourning something. You could also be mourning the loss of a loved one because of what's going on in the world. And that is a very subtle death card. 6 of Swords is in the same category, and of course, death. But when I see any of these 3, it's sort of about how at peace you are with the change that's going on in your life, the transformation. So Be kind to yourself is what I say, and what I see and what I say when I look at that. The only other thing that I'd like to mention is just focusing on how much you're carrying in your life, literally and figuratively. So if you have a job where you're doing manual labor, whenever I get the 10 of Wands, it's just a warning. Look here, we need to basically have a way to equalize some of that weight that you would be carrying. So make sure that you're not putting your back at risk. We didn't get the 10 of Swords, but it's still a warning. For the rest of you, making sure that you have someone to talk to or a way to delegate some of this energy. All right, let's look at wealth. It says, in silence, peace prevails. Great message for 2020, and solitude is the message. And notice what peace there is in this particular illustration. This person isn't crying. They're not feeling upset. She has a bird on her shoulder, which reminds me a lot of the 9 of Pentacles. And it's saying, I am enough. And what a powerful phrase that is. It's not what's on here, but like the message, I am enough. I'm enough for me. I'm enough for others. And that's okay. Like, so sometimes if it's my own company, I'm happy with that because I don't need, there is no missing piece. So when you become whole, then everything is a cherry on top. Everything is icing on the cake. Pick your metaphor. And I think that what you can focus on when it comes to fulfillment, because when I look at wealth, it's also self-confidence and fulfillment. If you can be happy with who you are, what you have, how far you've come, then you have this attractive energy where people look at you and they think, whoever that person is, I kind of like what they're putting out there. I value them too. If you value yourself, others will value you. And if you see yourself in that higher energy of the 9 of Pentacles, like I'm more than enough for this opportunity for you. You should be happy that I'm here, not in a sort of like egocentric way, but in understanding the true worth. Because I saw your higher self coming through. You are amazing. So when you start to understand that you have that ability to do anything, then the walls break down. Then you can just kind of step into the portal, okay? So for some of you, it's the self-confidence that could be holding you back. And you could be worrying because of the lull that is kind of in the world right now. Take advantage of this. She's reading a book. She's studying. She's the 8 of Pentacles as well. And the 8 of Pentacles is the gateway to the 9 of Pentacles. So learning and expansion will give you that 9 of Pentacles energy. That's really the main message here this month. The other thing is you don't have any low cards when it comes to money or opportunities. 8 of Pentacles, growth and expansion. Learning, not rushing, but growth and expansion. The Wheel of Fortune, eventually in opportunities, could be 1 year from now, though, because 4 seasons are intrinsic to the wheel and also the World card. So you're on a 1 year journey. Enjoy it. There's going to be ups and downs. You're your own best company. That's one of the big messages of 2020. So the sooner you start to love yourself, the better. And maybe the quicker all of this ends, because I think we're supposed to get more comfortable with ourselves. And that's the hidden blessing of everything that's going on. But there could be a new job on the horizon for many of you with the Wheel of Fortune and the World. Not a bad thing. Could involve a move. Definitely could involve telework. That's kind of like the new norm now. So just don't let communication get in the way with the 9 of Swords and the 5 of Swords. That's the thing that could kind of like bring you off course with that. Love. The message here is time apart from your partner is on the horizon. For some of you, there may be a decision that it's time to move on. There could also just be a work situation, or you need that peace of mind. I mentioned earlier, every relationship requires a little bit of peace and quiet, right? Look at how when he's meditating, like spirits coming through and the angel wings behind him. So if you just get a little time and space to yourself, I know it's hard, especially if you're like working from home and your kids are home and you're trying to run the whole household. I don't envy that. That's hard. There's still time though. Like sometimes I work a 12-hour day, so it may only be like the 30 minutes before I go to sleep that's my own, or the 30 minutes in the morning before I start working that's my own, but I try to carve it out. Sometimes what I do as an empathic person is at least once a week, I'll do an Epsom salt bath, and I'll just, sit for 15 minutes, let all the energy go. And you can put a couple drops of lavender oil or something when you do that, light a candle, and just allow that 15 minutes, we can all do it, to be your sort of spiritual zen. And then when you step out of that, you're a new person. If you do that, by the way, make sure that you dunk your head in so that you're clearing your crown chakra, and you put a little bit on your face, and then take a quick shower after that, because the salt deposits itself and it will dry out your skin. But that's a really great way to get rid of that energy. And to also, for those of you that might be feeling like, the other piece with this is that maybe people's energy is too much in your own, and you've been taking on too much. So this is about limits, pushing back a little bit, and just giving yourself space to breathe. So that's what I'm seeing with love and relationships. This is not a month to rush towards them. This is a month to get stronger in yourself, to have some limits, to say no. If you're trying to meet somebody new, I didn't get a personification of that person in the cards here. What I think it would be related to for some of you would be the next phase. So we have the World and the Wheel and the Ten of Wands. So upon that new sort of journey in your life, I feel like that's when love opens up. And after you have a little bit of rest and a little bit of time, that's when it opens up. This is a time to take care of yourself. So there's a lot of positive energy and movement happening over the month of September. Not so much maybe in dating, but I think in resolving relationships, in preparing yourself for new relationships, and in loving yourself, which is the most important relationship. All right, let's get to the final card, Destiny. Funny I mentioned all that. So this may, for some of you, get you in touch with those primal parts of yourself. We have sensual awakening here. So when we go to the lower three chakras, I'm glad it came up, because there's a lot of times we don't talk about this in spirituality. Your root chakra, which kind of gives you that sense of safety and grounding. Your sexual chakra, second one, which allows you to express yourself, to connect with others, literally and figuratively. It can also be channeled into projects. These things are important. Then the third chakra, which kind of came through in your health card here, is about how you stand up for yourself, how assertive you are. And so I feel like it would be really good for you this month to meditate on the lower three. So much of what we do is basically heart, throat, third eye, and crown. If those lower threes are not sort of foundationally sound, it's kind of like you're setting yourself up for a tower incident. So focus on feeling safe, focus on being creative and being able to express yourself, and that not being able to look at someone, that is a form of, I'm afraid to connect, I'm shy, I can't be intimate. Like really focus on the expression and connection when it comes to intimacy of all sorts, friendships, relationships, being able to just share who you are. And then that's going to give you your power. Then you're going to be fine. So I think as we look at the Destiny card this month, the key to power for many of you is to step into the lower chakras and strengthen them. And then maybe we'll do that in the meditation, and that'll help you get into the strongest version of yourself. Okay. Let me get all the cards laid out here, and we're going to quickly review everything that we talked about and move along to the soul path, which will help you be your best and open up all the opportunities in front of you for not just September, but the rest of this year. Can you believe, by the way, that we're so far into this year? This has been a crazy one, right? It's sometimes it feels like a snail, sometimes it feels like a comet. All right, let's look at everything here. See the highest version of yourself, see the highest version of others as well. And this higher self, we're always light at the highest possible place. Even a person that's riddled with difficult things in their life, or just that's the most a pain in the butt person that you know, they still have a higher self that is a light being. So if we can talk to that light being sometimes, you can resolve what's happening here on the earth plane. So in your meditation, you can imagine that you're appealing to their highest good, their higher self, and start to see them in that light. I mentioned, I'm going to pull the camera up here for a second. With children, it's so important because if they can't see that high self, then they start to, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you tell a kid that they're dumb, that they're never going to get ahead, that they're not as good as their brother or sister, et cetera, it imprints, and it's very hard to get out. I want you to start to support the children around you, or young people, or just friends in your life, because we need to lift up, not break down. And that inner child, it doesn't matter what age you are, someone's inner child may be broken. So don't go further in there and try to break it down. I think the important thing this month is to lift up and say, I really have faith in you. I think we can do this. Let's not let this set us back. I've had more than one conversation in my past where sometimes you get off on the wrong foot, but you can overcome it, and it ends up being a great partnership. So I think that could happen for some of you. but children especially deserve the benefit of the doubt. This will allow you to break karmic, and I would also say ancestral cycles. There's always free will. Why not give that person a chance to prove how amazing you think they can be, and really how amazing they can be? Speak openly this month without demands. Around the midpoint of the month, there might be some opportunities for negotiations. No matter when you decide to do this, there's going to be some flexibility in schedule and timing. If you can ease into that flexibility, some good things can happen for you. Pace yourself. Remember that you are in a long distance run. You don't want to be like that light bulb that I saw and blow out too fast. So ground yourself and practice self-care, meditation, get enough sleep. And remember, it's so hard, even for me, because I think when you're a healer or a light worker, saying no hurts a little bit because you can feel the disappointment, but it's important. If it's not right for you, say no. Stand out, focus on what makes you unique. In a crowded room, a crowded marketplace, a crowded world right now where a lot of people are waiting to get back to things, that uniqueness, that singular approach is what's going to bring success. When we're looking at nonverbal communication, whether it's not looking you in the face or kind of folding their hands across their chest or turning away, is somebody giving you a cue this month that they are uncomfortable, they are shy, that there's something that you need to talk about or talk to them about. Step into that moon type energy, be direct, be open. Healing is possible. At the very least, you're going to understand if it's worth putting time and energy in this anymore. Stay on path. You don't have time to let someone scramble your GPS or put you into reverse. There's going to be more time that you're going to have to spend getting back on track if you do that. Finish what you started. You owe it to yourself. And I think that's what we see here with the Eight of Pentacles. You have 2 catalysts this month, and the snake seems to just want to move around every time I touch it. So I would say for many of you, there could be something that's hard for you to kind of get a mental handle on. So with this particular card, I would say, be careful. There could be someone in your periphery that kind of steps in there and surprises you, and it's a power play, and that's why we're seeing power in the health card. And what's important this month is to look at the trade-offs involved with everything that's going on. Is it worth the energy exchange that you're going through? You'll be able to discern. 8 of Wands, you can do a lot. There's a lot coming through. Is it worth your time and energy? Discernment is important. Moving on is a big theme. I'm going to cover 3 cards at once here. The 10 of Wands, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Wheel. I feel like you're on a 1-year trajectory where a lot is going to change. Even if you're one of the few that is kind of unaffected by everything going on in the world, I still feel like your overall path is starting to shift and move. Are you ready to step into it? That's what these cards are asking. 10 of Wands. And the Deep Past is saying it's kind of overdue for many of you. Finish what you started. Focus on expanding your knowledge. Learning is a great way to get to that next level. Take time to meditate. Don't be impatient. If you're inspired, however, that's okay. Notice that this Temperance card also carries with it the 2 of Pentacles. He's balancing the sun and the moon, the yin and the yang. There's basically the cost trade-off that he's balancing out in that card. Next is not to let your lower frequency communication skills step in or your thoughts cloud out your vision. Kind of go with that high energy that we see here. In both of these cards, there's light that wants to come through. Let the light come in. Rest this month. Make peace with the change that's going on in your life. Know that you're, to me, definitely on a path of change. The Hanged Man reverse is just saying that sometimes it may even feel jolting when it happens, or you might be in that last few minutes before the change happens thinking like, when is it going to happen? Stay open, have faith, have that clear vision, and then we see the movement happening here. And finally, just don't get disappointed. Don't fight battles that aren't worth fighting. Stick to the things that matter. Stick to the path that you've chosen. Power and grounding are important. We'll get into that in our meditation in a moment. And basically also focusing on if you are having any sort of energy around the solar plexus that needs to be worked on, you can also exercise there. Focus on nutrition as well, because it's not just energy. It's also what's existing in that space as well, what you're putting in your stomach. Try to be your own best company. That's really what this card is saying. When you are, work opportunities open up, and then also the power dynamics that we're seeing here within your health and with some of your relationships tend to balance out. For some of you, that is about speaking up and saying no more, no, or I'm ready to move on. The separation can also be a little bit more subtle in just making sure that you have 10, 15, 20 minutes to yourself to collect your thoughts. It's really important to do that before a key conversation as well. Finally, some of you are feeling inspired. This could be sexually. It could also just be creatively, because the lower chakras feed and fuel our passions and desires, and that can also be creative desires. So some of you just might feel the sense of, I'm ready to do something new, and I really feel like I'm getting behind it. For some of you, there could be impatience because I'm not seeing a lot of partnership here. So you might have to find a channel for that energy if it is coming through. All right, let's get into the soul path. We're a little over, but there were so many messages that I'm doing my best to navigate, and I don't want to rush, so we'll do our best. I feel like these are important things coming through. All right, we're going to look at past, present, and future with respect to the soul. Looking at the past, I'm seeing the 10 of Wands here in your deep past, so I want to see what it is that has possibly kind of kept you from moving forward, and also how you can step into the opportunity of the Wheel of Fortune and the world. All right. 8 of Cups, second chances. So this is your chance again to break or make a new cycle. If you feel like something escaped your grip, it could have been the love of your life, it could have been something that you were passionate about, a career path, it could have been a version of yourself that you just feel like, how did I kind of get so far away from that person? This is your chance to remember that it was always there. I saw it in my meditation where your higher self was like, hey, I'm here. Where have you been? So this is your chance to kind of get into that higher space and think, I can do this. I think some of you just may have lacked the support. And the interesting thing with the 8 of Cups is the person's always walking away. There's room to come back, but it doesn't mean you have to. So you could view the 8 of Cups as a sabbatical that can be permanent or can be temporary. And it's up to you. I think for some of you, it's time for a time out of whatever you were doing. And maybe a time to pick up that missing cup and finish something. So for some of you, it's a second chance at completing. For some of you, it's a chance to step away and kind of take a temperature check and think, do I still want to do this? Is this still me? So give yourself that chance. It's okay. So whether it's a temporary separation, a permanent separation, or a sabbatical, it feels like there's some sort of a movement that needs to happen. Allowing yourself to try on a new hat, to try something new. I like 8 of Cups because to me, for those of you in business, 8 of Cups and 8 of Wands, that's return business. It's really good. For those of you that are trying to create a cycle that's effective, that's also cyclical. So go into the energy of making a positive cycle, and you're going to be in a good space for the remainder of 2020. All right, let's look at the present. Your present energy, it's interesting. I want to get through the 9 of Swords and the 5 of Swords. What is it that's causing the headspace to kind of like ricochet around a little bit? Okay. For many of you, this could be the pressure of friends, family, and community. I love the 10 of Cups because you have all of that there at your disposal, but sometimes it can be overwhelming, right? The pressure, the expectations, sometimes even feeling like we see love here, but for some of you that can feel like it's too much. You need space. So not losing yourself in that thread of friends, family, and community, and not feeling the pressure to be in a relationship or the judgment to be when you're out of a relationship. Remember, it's going back to yourself. Where are you? Have you lost yourself? For those of you that are taking care of children or taking care of an older parent or taking care of someone that's sick or depends on you, that dependent energy sometimes can absorb like a sponge your personality, your auric energy. So this is a chance for you to build up on that, because the stronger you are, the stronger this family bond will be. You can't lose yourself in the mix. I also love that we see like all the colors of the rainbow. This is a color of acceptance. This is a card of acceptance. So if within your life or within someone in your life, there's a non-traditional relationship that's coming through, or someone stepping into their truth, whatever that means, support them. It's their moment to kind of be the butterfly and to transform. So there's a transformative energy there. So whether you're going to break down some of the boundaries and expectations, or whether someone else is, who cares? Maybe it's that you're not going to get married. Maybe you're going to get married too soon, or you're going to marry someone that people don't approve of. We see a non-traditional relationship in this, which is why I love this deck. So we see 2 women here. So whatever it is, break through the expectations and more love and opportunity can come through for you. All right. what's in the future? Let's see. So for the future, I want to focus on Temperance and the Hanged Man, because they're both reverse, which is impatience. So what can we do to kind of help you ease into everything? Help you kind of have the positive energy of the snake. So flexibility, basically. Of course, we would have another Swords card. We have Knight of Swords in reverse, which is everything in its own time. And also realizing that there are times to run, there are times to pause. And so for many of you, again, kind of look at this, how the knight is trying to catch up to his horse, which I love, that's illustrated as like a motorcycle. Very modern take on what a Knight of Swords would be. So what happened here for some of you is you're playing catch up. There could have been something that, because you weren't paying attention to it, it already has kind of gone on. And I would say you have a choice here. That motorcycle in the future, for many of you, could indicate something it's already gone. So rather than trying to catch up, what if, more powerfully, you decided to embark on a new path? Also, this thing won't go on its own forever. It's going to stop. So let something play out if it's already started, and focus on what's next. You're not trying to play catch up with other people in your life. You're focusing on your path, your journey. And then you can deal with that when the time is right, but it may be too late for some things like that. So focusing on what you can control, on what's available in front of you, and what is kind of conducive with your energy, or what's coming towards you. Otherwise, you're chasing something that's maybe not worth the time and energy. Okay, that can help you with the Swords cards this month. Is it worth it? That's kind of like the sort of rhetorical question with the Five of Swords that I would ask. Is it worth fighting about this? Is it worth going into this? All right, let's meditate. Apologies for going a little bit over, but hopefully you've enjoyed the messages coming through. As this year's progressed, there's been a lot more messages in the psychic downloads. So I'll take a look at my format in 2021 and see, because there's a lot more in that space. And these readings are longer, but hopefully you enjoy what you're getting out of it. I know I enjoy it. All right. At this point, we're going to meditate and integrate and focus on the lower three chakras, allowing you to step into that feeling of creativity, of focus, of purpose, of power, and then we'll wrap up, okay? So get comfortably seated. It's actually interesting that I chose the root chakra color this morning. I was looking at my shirts. I'm like, I need to wear red. It's probably why. So this is the color that you will be focusing on first. All right. Take a deep breath, sit up tall, and I'd like you to kind of move your shoulders up and back for a moment. Relax your neck as well. If it's a little tight, you can just do a gentle left and right. Nothing too crazy. If you feel a little more flexibility, you can go forward and back. You can even go in a circle if you want to, but that may be too tight for some of you. So just kind of loosen up the neck. We're not in a flexibility contest here. Just loosen it up and relax. After you've done that, I want you to close your eyes. And for me, as I'm looking at these different cards, I think where I'd like to take us, okay, I want the energy of the water. So imagine that you are right at the beach, and maybe you're on a pier, and your feet can touch the water. So you can feel both the sort of wood underneath you, the plank underneath you, and then you feel the energy of the water. So you have you have the element of, it's fire with the wood, but you are connected to something that could ground you to the earth. So feeling that sense of being connected to something that's stable, but also putting one foot in the water. It's almost like temperance, basically. You could put one foot in, you could keep one foot on the pier if you'd like to. I want you to feel this sense of being able to do anything that you put your mind to. It's all at your disposal. It's just a choice of direction. As you touch the water, feel that you're tapping into this well of energy. It's not just the ocean. It's actually, it's a powerful well of energy, because all of those waves that have kind of come towards the shore, they carry with them the energy of movement, of change. And although it's now kind of calm where you're at, you can still feel that energy coming towards you. And in this moment, I want you to make a decision that you're going to pick a direction. And you don't have to chase after something that's already gone, someone else's dream. We want you to be the Knight of Swords that's already on his horse or her horse going towards what they want. So see what it is that you want to do. And imagine now that you could just dive in, and we're going to go into the water. And I just want you to feel like in this moment, it's not just water, it's energy. So as you go into the water, feel that you're almost being rechristened, reborn, and then you can rise above the water, almost like a phoenix. And now I want you to really own your new power. And as I play this singing bowl here, I want you to imagine that the energy is really going to surge between the lower three chakras. Your root chakra, which is connected, if you want to that pier, your sexual or sensual chakra, which is connected to the water around you. And now this new power, this fire in your belly, which is actually kind of going through your entire body, creating a phoenix-like energy. Focus on those three and just allow them to grow, to spin in a clockwise fashion, and we will bring you into a higher energy for the month ahead. All right, enjoy this, and I will be back as soon as the singing bowl is done. Take a deep breath. Stretch out your arms, stretch out your wings figuratively as well in your meditation. Imagine now that you are that divine being that I saw way back at the beginning of this reading, that you are filled with light, that you can pull that energy that we just conjured up in those lower three chakras. You feel grounded in the earth. You feel creative and expansive. You feel sensual. You feel that you have this passion that you can then create into fire and pull that into your belly, and then take this where it needs to be. People are going to look at you over the next month or two and see a new confidence, see a new purpose, see a new sort of resolved state that hasn't been there in a while. You're going to feel good in your own skin because we just shed it, and you're in a brand new state, a brand new way of being. And this is going to attract higher relationships, better opportunities, and set you up for the year ahead, especially for the cards that I was seeing with the World and the Wheel of Fortune. So I want to remind you of a couple of messages that came through, which are, you are not just enough, but you're more than enough for yourself, for others, and you should be excited about the change and the opportunity in front of you. Anything worth doing involves a little bit of risk, involves a little bit of growth, involves stretching, but you can do it. Quiet those voices that have been holding you back, whether they were your own or others. It's time to move into your power. It's time to move into your purpose, and to be patient as this unfolds, because it looks to me like it's not just over the next month, it's a year-long journey. So I look forward to seeing how this pans out for all of you. Thank you for allowing me to facilitate the healing. You can open your eyes if you haven't already. Welcome back. And I'd like to just wrap up here. First of all, I always like to thank everybody for showing up. It means a lot. I know that with the Aries reading, some people have forgotten that I'm here, so it's always great to see a nice crowd here because I take a week off before I begin again. So it's good to see you. Just a quick thank you to everybody that was kind enough to give a super chat or super sticker. I see one right now. You can do that while I'm talking, by the way. This is a great way to support the channel, the meditations, like the singing bowl, the cards, all of that stuff. It's a direct result of the kindness that you guys extend. And I try to buy a new deck of cards every couple months. So I have a new one that's on order that I'll have it for the next round of readings. I should get it on September 1, so I'll keep you posted. If you'd like to join me on social media, I'd love you to do that. Almost all social media, my username is Nicholas Ashbaugh. So on Instagram, Facebook, of course, YouTube, TikTok, and Patreon, I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh. On Instagram, I share a lot of little channeled messages. I actually encapsulate them so you can get a recap of that. Plus, I'll use story reminders. I'll do the same thing on Facebook this month. On TikTok, I do sometimes behind the scenes stuff, and I'm still figuring out how I'll use that one, but I am active on that as well. Patreon is another way that you can give back. If you want to just contribute $1 a month, it's a great way to do it. So again, it's at Nicholas Ashbaugh. All of this information, by the way, you can find on my website, nicholasashbaugh.com. That includes how to book a reading. I saw there were some questions about that. Plus what deck I'm using, past, present, and future readings. It's all there. On the Instagram profile, you can click the link and there's a bunch of things that will come through, including my website. So you can get it there. Twitter right now is the only one that has a different handle. It's @Ashbaugh. And I will tweet reminders and also, again, the channeled messages. I'm going to start doing them the day of so that you have those throughout the month. I did that with Instagram. I'm going to do that with all networks this month. If you haven't subscribed, please do that. This is a great way to stay in the know of what's coming through. The little bell will send you an email when I go live again. So it's a great way to make sure that if you didn't put it on your calendar, you don't know, you'll get a notification. Otherwise, a like and a subscribe does a lot. I see there's 93, 94. Yeah, if you can do a few more, that would be great. It helps YouTube make this more discoverable, and it's free. So thank you so much. For those of you that want to use PayPal, here's my PayPal URL. It's just paypal.me/Nicholas Ashbaugh. Again, all of this can be found on my website. On Instagram as well, when you click the website URL, I kind of have like a link tree type thing where there's a bunch of links, so you can find it there as well. And that's it for today. Sorry, we went a few minutes over, but there was too much coming through, and I try not to. If my guides want me to talk a lot, I talk a lot. So I hope you enjoyed it. Such a pleasure being here today. Thanks to Ryan and Maria for helping answer the questions as I was doing this. Thanks for these last few super chats that are coming in. I appreciate you. If you watch this on replay or rerun, you can always go to my website, and there's a lot of ways to connect and give back there. In the meantime, thank you so much, everybody. I'm doing this on Thursday. I'll be back tomorrow, and I'll be reading for Taurus. So looking forward to seeing all of you that have that in your sun, rising, or moon. In the meantime, have a great month and lots of love and light to you. Okay, guys, see you soon. Bye-bye.